All right, I'm proposing a very special good afternoon to you. Yeah, you, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Already 443 people on the live. Good afternoon to you. We have a very special interview coming up in a short. So get your legal self together because we are going to be discussing some legal issues. So people, as my guests enter into the studio, let me just let you know what our interview is going to be about. We have the legal aid department, and they are coming in to discuss matters concerning the law. Legal aid. How do you get legal aid? How can you access it? Among other questions is what we're going to be dealing with this afternoon. So if you know anybody who you figure this program will greatly benefit, I suggest you call them up right now and tell them that we're live and we are about to speak with persons who can point them in the right direction. I understand how stressful it could be. You have matters, you don't know what to do, or you may have a situation and you can't afford an attorney. Well, there is legal aid, and they're going to tell us exactly how it works. So let me take the opportunity to say a very, very special good afternoon to those of you sharing the live right now. Share it. Let people know that we're in the building. Please and thanks. So my guest is here. Without further ado, let me welcome them. A very special good afternoon to you and welcome to 91.9 FM.
Thank you so much. Thank
How
you for
are you
having
today?
us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, Aisha.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. So without further ado, tell Trinidad and Tobago who they're speaking with.
I am Haseen Sheikh. I'm the Chief Public Defender of the Public Defenders Department, which exists under the Legal Aid and Advisory Authority.
Awesome.
And I'm Linda Green. I'm Head Legal of the Civil Department and Legal Aid and Advisory Authority.
Excellent. Thank you, ladies, so much for being here. So we're going to just jump into the meat of the matter, help the citizens to understand exactly what is legal aid.
Well, legal aid was established in the law by Chapter 707 of the Legal Aid and Advice Act, and it affords persons of low to moderate means legal representation and legal advice.
Excellent indeed. And of course, what is legal advice?
Well, legal advice is any kind of advice given on a legal issue by a legal professional, right? So legal professionals give you legal advice.
All right. So who exactly can get or qualify for legal aid?
Well, anybody coming into legal aid can come to determine whether or not they qualify for legal aid, because the Act itself stipulates who would qualify and under what circumstances such qualification would occur.
Okay. So it's not correct to say that everyone qualifies?
No.
Unfortunately not, no.
Excellent indeed. So how do I qualify for legal aid?
Well, you would have to be assessed.
Okay.
Right, based
What is
on
the assessment? Walk me through the process. So I
Alright.
come into the office.
Yes, you come in, you meet with a legal officer who will, they will determine firstly what are the issues you're there for, what legal issues you're there for. And if your legal issues, they determine that you have a genuine cause of action, that is known as, and they assess. Otherwise, they put you forward to the investigators and they will determine whether or not you can qualify. They investigate to determine what is your disposable assets, disposable income, and to determine whether or not you financially qualify in accordance with the Act.
Okay, so is there like a gap limit, or is there a financial criteria one must meet?
Yes, there is. One must not cross 36,000 per year.
Per year, okay.
Or 3,000 per month.
Understood.
Right? And you may not have 20,000 more in disposable assets. So if you have more than 20,000 in the bank,
Okay.
say, you may not qualify.
Okay.
But all these things will have to be determined based on the assessment of the individual case.
Understood.
So just to add to that, so
Sure.
it's a little different on the civil side as it is for the criminal side.
So there's two different departments. We're
Yes.
going to get into that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there are two different departments. So the overall criteria holds in terms of the disposable income and how much money you should have and where you are in terms of your financial status.
Yes.
The difference in terms of the civil side is the assessment process goes through the investigator and the person comes into the office because it's a civil matter, and good for them, they're not in jail. So unlike my clients, the majority of them who are either on bail or in custody, which is on the criminal side, it's a little bit different. Their assessment is conducted by, so we fill out the form just like they would on the civil side,
Okay.
but that actual assessment is done by the judicial officer. So at the magistrate's court or at the high court, they will look at the form that we have filled out, and it says, you know, how much money you have, what's your disposable income, what assets you have, all of those things are covered. But the decision is made by the judicial officer. Once you're in jail, for all intents and purposes, and you've been there for some length of time and you don't have anything on the outside, you tend to be granted legal aid.
Okay.
But generally, we still conduct that assessment process, but it's not sent an investigator as on the civil aspect, but rather the judicial officer makes that decision.
Excellent. I want to hear some more about that. But is legal aid really free?
Well, it is legal representation. Once they determine that you do have a cause of action, let's say you want to sue somebody for nuisance, and you do have evidence, the legal officers determine that you have all the evidence that is needed in court to prove that. When they assess you, you coming in there for that advice, you have to pay $50. So it's not entirely free, but the representation, if they have to represent you in court, it's free. You don't have to pay.
One thing I realized lately, being a part of the PTA of my son's school, that minors who have runnings with the law are afforded a state-appointed attorney. Does that fall under legal aid as well?
Yes.
It does. So the state-appointed attorney for minors so there are twofold ways of doing it, meaning that, so if you get in trouble with the law and you're brought into a police station, the police officers at that station are supposed to call duty counsel.
Okay.
Duty counsel exists under the Act and under the Legal Aid and Advisory Authority. It is manned 24/7, and they are mandated under the Act to call for two situations. One, if you're a minor, and two, if it is a murder. It's a capital offense. They're going to call an attorney out for those two situations.
Okay.
Once the attorney represents you up to your first date of court hearing.
Okay.
So they will deal with the first time you appear in court. If there's bail to be had, they will make that application, and that's where the representation from the duty counsel stops.
Okay.
At that point, the child, or if it's an adult in the case of the criminal, the murder, they would make an application for legal aid, either through indicating to the court who would make the relevant order, or by application, and then you go through the regular process.
Understood. That's good to know. So what is I think I asked you that already, the financial requirement. You told me you cannot pass
Yes.
$36,000 per year.
Yes.
And or $3,000 per month. Yeah?
Yes.
What are your different locations across Trinidad and of course Tobago?
Okay, we have offices in Bacolod and Tobago. Our headquarters is in Port of Spain, 23 Stanmore Avenue. We have offices in Devonor Street in Arima, in Chaguanas in Eleanor Street, and San Fernando is Harris Street.
And what are the office hours?
Office hours are 8 to 3 p.m., 3:30 p.m., but our offices close at 4:30 actually.
And the public can just walk in off the street?
Yes,
No
they can.
appointment needed?
No appointment needed. Or you can call, many call our numbers.
Give us the numbers.
Yes, the number 638-5222. That's our headquarters number, and you will be put towards any of the other areas that the other district offices that you're nearest to. You'll be told numbers or you'll be transferred to.
Awesome. So some of the other services that you offer apart from civil is criminal.
Correct.
Yes. So how does the chain of command go if one is in custody? Do they tell the police in custody when asked, do you have an attorney, that they don't and they would like to assess legal aid? What happens after that?
So usually that process for legal aid tends to happen if you're not in the minor category or the murder category, unfortunately. The actual application for legal aid, so you're not going to get a duty counsel if you fall in any of the other
Okay.
offenses. You will go to court, and then the magistrate would usually ask you, do you have an attorney? At that point, you say, no, can you afford an attorney? Would you like a legal aid attorney? Is
Okay.
usually that type of conversation is had with the magistrate. And then once that happens, the magistrates, because of COVID, things change a little bit. Magistrates can now make that assessment right there and then and ask the relevant questions and determine that person to be fit for legal aid and make an order which they send to our offices, whereby we can then appoint an attorney. Now, how it operates for the magisterial matters is a little bit different in the sense that we have what we call an external panel.
Okay.
Any attorney in Trinidad and Tobago, once you have a valid practicing certificate, you can go and apply to be part of our external panel. And you can basically indicate what you're interested in doing, criminal matters at the magistrate's court being one of those. If you have indicated that, that same person who has requested legal aid would be assigned to an attorney who is on that external panel. What's the difference? Now, an external panel, those are private attorneys who have signed up. So it's almost as though you are employing them part-time, so to speak, to do that particular case. So you're
Okay.
almost, I can't find that right word right now, but
Signing.
you're signing it out. So that's usually what happens. The Public Defender's Department, we have attorneys that are internal to us. So right now we have about 29 attorneys. But those attorneys deal with high court matters. So we're not dealing with the magisterial matters at this point in time. But if you have a high court matter and you require an attorney, we can deal with that. As in, you can get an internal attorney. Now, because of the sheer number of matters, it is impossible for us to keep all internally. So we still use the external panel as well.
Okay. Just to make sure. And then there is a misconception that legal aid attorneys are somewhat inferior to attorneys that the public pay for, or, maybe they work on behalf of the state and not necessarily behalf of the client. Could you dispel that myth?
Yes, we'd like to dispel that very much. So,
Yeah.
we have professionals who are experienced and skilled attorneys in-house, and we do also, as Ms. Sheikh would have said, we have access to the panel of attorneys who are all trained and professional attorneys, and we assign matters based on experience pertaining to the particular type of matter it is, and try as far as possible to assign people close to where they live.
Okay.
So that, because we deal with low to moderate income folks. So
Yes.
you want, and just transportation may be an issue for them.
That's right.
So we have to, look closely at that. So we try as far as possible to put these assignments the closest to them so that that is not an issue for them.
Understood. And of course, let's just say someone choose their lawyer from the panel of lawyers? Can you select one?
Well, they can't actually select from the panel, but if they come to us and let's say they were consulting with an attorney before and they would like to go ahead with that attorney, once that attorney is on our panel and that attorney agrees, they would certainly have that as their selection assigned.
So it works slightly differently on the criminal side for that
Okay.
part of it, because we have internal attorneys, especially at the high court level, and we have internal attorneys who can do that work. It would be a balancing act to determine is it a matter that we keep or do we assign it to the external attorney.
Okay.
And the reason for that is essentially the state is paying for us.
Yeah.
So when you're paying salaries for internal attorneys, we can't always justify sending out every single matter. So it boils down to the complexity of the matter, the nature of it, and which is the best attorney. So we do try to assign the best possible attorneys for a particular matter.
Awesome. And of course, is the legal aid department fully functioning online in terms of submitting forms?
So in terms of the submitting of forms, to process for legal aid, you cannot submit it online at this point in time for a number of reasons. Those forms need to be sworn before Commissioner of Affidavit. So it's not as simple as you could fill in a form and then it goes on to the next party. You fill in the form, the commissioner has to sign off on it. They have to swear before the commissioner as to all of the things that they have said on the form to be true and accurate, and then it is processed.
Okay.
So it's not as simple as just a simple fill out online and then you submit.
And just to add, it's an offense to give false information to either a legal officer or to swear on that form to information that you know to be false.
To be false.
$1,000 or 6 months and 6 months imprisonment.
And you hear that?
So,
all right.
So when you come into us, come honestly, because
talk
we're
the
here
truth.
to help. We're here to help.
That's right.
That's what we do. We help.
All right, so the next question is, I was told that there is a 24-hour service. Can you explain this?
24-hour service in terms of duty counsel, yes. So that would be the 24-hour service. Everything else in terms of the other services, in terms of being able to walk into the office and so forth, that is a normal 8 to 4 type situation. But for the duty counsel, in the circumstances as I would have described before, they are available and manned 24 hours.
Okay. All right, so members of the public is waiting. They're asking, does this type of service go for land matters as well?
Oh, yes, we do in our civil department. Many of the matters that we cover have to do with land matters. So,
Okay.
yes, we do.
Okay, we have another question. Can employees come in and seek some information upon what their rights may be as far as an employer?
Yes, again, yes, we do employment matters. We advise on employment issues. We don't do industrial relations matters. Industrial relations matters are matters that will finally reside in the industrial court.
Yes.
Right? There's a process, a separate process for that, which involves trade unions. So we don't get involved in that, but we do advise and represent employee situations in the High Court, if it comes to that.
Okay, sounds good. Is there any information I would have missed out that you would like the public to know?
Yes, we are here to assist, and that is what we do. That is how we earn our keep with the state. There's a mandate for us to help people of low to moderate income, and that is what we do.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, I'm listening.
So we ask people, if you need that assistance, come into us and find out if you can qualify, if you have matters. Because one of the things would be that if you are, let's say you are served with a document, you serve a process, somebody sues you, and you want to find out whether or not you qualify, you come into us, we give you advice on it. We treat matters such as those as, once you qualify, we treat them as urgent matters because you have a particular amount of time to get before the court. You have 28 days within which to file a defense. You have 8 days within which to file an acknowledgement of service. And so you come to us and we determine that you have a valid case and you will get represented in such matters.
Awesome. Of course, what is the Public Defender's Department? Could you explain?
So the Public Defender's Department, as I would have indicated before, we exist as a department under the Legal Aid and Advisory Authority. What is a little bit different for us is that we're not mentioned in legislation, so you're not going to hear about us as easily as that, but we were established via cabinet note and we've only been around for 3 years, so we're a little bit new. But what we're intended to do is that we're intended to do criminal matters, trial matters, and we work primarily at the High Court level. So full litigation department, and then we are basically doing as many trials, and our mandate is to try to reduce the backlog. As we all know, that backlog is something serious.
It is, and why is it important to have a Public Defender's Department created?
Well, it's important because previously what had happened is that we were depending only on the private external bar. And in reality, unlike the civil practice, people don't seem to be as attracted to criminal law and the practice of criminal law. So the criminal bar is actually really small.
Really?
Yeah, it looks more glamorous on TV than it is. I promise you. But unfortunately, we don't seem to have the numbers that would do. So even though right now we have about 13 criminal judges, and in addition to the 13 criminal judges, we maybe have about 30 to 40 active criminal practitioners at the bar. That's a really small number.
Yeah, compared to
when you think
cases
about
before the court.
Exactly, because if you have one case that has multiple accused in it, usually for murders you have 2 attorneys per accused person. So that means that you at any given time you have a number of persons in the court, and unfortunately there aren't enough of us to go around. So the Public Defender's Department allows to have more personnel to deal with who could actually deal with matters, and because this is our full-time job, it means that's all we're doing. So we're doing legal aid matters and pushing the matters forward.
So you separate this department from the entire legal system so you guys can function and fully focus on clearing up what's happening in there.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Because a lot of people say, well, nothing is happening in the judiciary. What are they doing in the judiciary? You guys are working. Round the clock, I assume.
We are working, unfortunately, around the clock.
All right, so how do you access a public defender?
So as I said, the public defender is a little bit different from the civil department in the sense that you can walk in if you are an available offense. You absolutely can walk into any of the offices and we will process you in very much the same way. If you are not on bail and you are actually at the prison, you can indicate to the magistrate or to the judge that you require legal aid and that you would like to have an opportunity to have legal aid. They can assess you and make that order and send that order to us. But if you are in the prison and you have not reached to the court as yet, or you didn't know that you could do it in the court, you can let the prison welfare know. They usually are compiling lists continuously to let us know, because we have a good working relationship with them. And then generally every Friday we tend to have a public defender processing those applications.
Okay.
We do it virtually, which makes it all the more faster.
Yes.
And it allows us to keep it constant. So every Friday at all the various prisons, we are actually processing legal aid. So you let them know, they send us the list, we see you, we process you.
Awesome. And do you have a time frame in which that happens?
So it varies. It really depends on the numbers that come in a particular week. So sometimes if we have 100 persons, and it sounds like 100 persons, the persons that are coming in and out of the system, it varies from week to week. So if we have 100 persons, it may mean that we're able to see about 30 to 60 in a week. So because it depends on how many persons we have available, because these attorneys who are processing your applications are also the same attorneys who are in trials.
Understood.
So it means that we are multitasking. So it's availability of persons, and that's how we're able to work it. So based on who is available, who can process you, we try to deal with it as quickly as we can.
So what is the difference between the public defender and a member of the external panel?
So the external panel, this is not their full-time job.
Okay.
They have their own matters, they have signed up, and they will do some legal aid matters if they so choose, and they get to decide how much they want to do based on what their workload is. A public defender has no choice. This is what they're doing all day. They are doing legal aid matters at the High Court.
How can persons, members of the public, contact you?
So there is a contact form online, so they can do that. There is a phone number. They can go onto the website. What other ways can they contact us?
By phone.
By phone, yes.
You guys on social media, everybody searches life on social media now.
So we're in the process of setting that up.
That's good.
So we're getting with that, that
You're
new...
getting on board soon.
Yes, we're getting on board soon with that.
And one thing we want to add also, persons who are incarcerated, some people incarcerated, and they have civil matters.
Yeah.
And the civil department actually would go in there to determine what are their matters. They may be trying to determine whether or not they have a matter.
Okay.
And they ask for us. So our civil department also assists with the prison.
Got you.
Yes.
All right, so the numbers are in our chat. They are 638-5222. That's 638-5222 or 612-3807. That's 612-3807. We're being asked another question online. This gentleman, hold up, let me pull up his chat. What about divorce? Do you deal with divorce?
Oh yes, we do. That is actually the number
I would not
one.
have believed you guys would have said yes to that.
Yes, actually the number one issue that comes to us really are divorces. We do many divorces.
Okay.
And once you qualify, that's all you do. One of our legal officers or from one of the district officers, wherever you are closest, you visit and you let them know what your situation is, or you call and they tell you what documents you need to walk in with, and one of our hard-working legal officers will attend to you and guide you into how you go about this.
All right, so I have someone on the line here. I'm assuming she's an attorney. She says, Ms. Aisha, do they accept non-ATI volunteers to help with some of the cases, like administrative type work, etc.?
But we don't. I don't understand.
I don't think so.
No.
I think that will probably come through the Office of the Attorney General or some other.
So we don't have volunteer work in terms of the legal aid. Everyone who is at the legal aid, whether it be in the civil or the public defender's department, they are employed.
Okay.
So that's usually how it would work.
So closing comments, ladies. We just have about a minute. Who wants to go first?
Well, I would encourage your listeners and your viewers to search us out to see whether or not, if you have legal issues and you think you want some advice, and we give advice. It's just $50. You come in and one of our fantastic legal officers will attend to you and determine and assist you in determining what is your legal position. And if it has to go further, we can assign attorneys to you, even in-house attorneys, to do your matter if it becomes necessary. So come and find out what we have to offer to you.
Awesome.
So I can't add too much to that, but same public defenders, there are multiple ways, as I would have pointed out, to get in contact with us. Even though we primarily work at the High Court, we can process you for legal aid and ensure that you are assisted.
Excellent, ladies. I want to thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having us.
So much
Thank
for
you.
sharing this information. It was well received. And of course, I know my listeners will benefit tremendously from this information. Guys, we have 32 seconds before our next break. We're going to take it and we will be right back.
Thank you.